love coach. Let's find out if you're ready for love. Here's your marvelous host, Nikki Lee.
Hello, and welcome to Ready for Love Radio. This is your host and love coach, Nikki Lee. Now, how can we alleviate misunderstandings in relationships? How can we make it so that men and women can have healthier and more beneficial and long-term relationships that work for them, that are happy, and they don't just stay together because they think they have to, but they stay together and are happy. They're happy, and they have a happy, loving, respectful, passionate relationship. You know, it can be done. I've had people tell me it can't, but it can. And I think my guest today can help me with that. What do you think, Andre? Can we help him with that?
I think so. That is my work.
So my guest today is Andre Paradis, and we're gonna have quite the conversation today. I have a feeling, and I'm gonna warn the listeners up front. I just have this feeling, looking over things, we're not going to agree on everything. So it may get a little feisty. You know, it might. It just might. Tell you a little bit about Andre first. He is a relationship coach, an NLP coach, an educator of effective communications. I love that. Oh, my goodness. I talk about communication all the time. Mm-hmm. He is a published writer, a public speaker, an ordained minister. He grew up in Canada. He went on a vacation in Los Angeles and was scouted and became a professional. He got an agent, auditioned, booked work that led to a life of unforgettable experiences, dancing with legends including Michael Jackson, Prince, Paula Abdul, Julio Iglesias, to name a few. And, you know, we can talk about that for 2 days right there. Not that has a lot to do with relationships, but we could have a lot of fun with that. So right. He met his wife, and they settled in L.A., where they opened AP Auto Body. In 2006, they had 2 beautiful kids. He attended a workshop called Understanding Women. I think that would be an interesting conversation for at least 2 or 3 hours. He then studied and learned from some of the biggest relationship masters. That's quite a list. But I'll just say that one of them was Dr. John Gray. Mm-hmm. He started sharing his knowledge with friends and family, and he saw that his knowledge helped people and led to happier lives with the people they loved. So he found a new purpose in life, the big calling deep inside him. He then sold his successful auto shop and launched Project Equinox Coaching to help men and women learn to build stronger, long-lasting, and healthy love relationships. So, you know, and for some clients, he even officiates their wedding. Now, and I have to mention, seeing as how this is the week it is, and the movie that started last week, I read your website, and you even danced for Chippendales for a while, did you not?
Yep. Almost a year and a half.
My gracious.
That was my first professional job as a young man. Excuse me.
Well, that's quite a way to start.
Yeah, no, I agree. I totally agree. It was completely random. I was just in L.A. literally randomly in a party. This is my own Hollywood story. And this guy came up to me and said, you know, I choreographed for a national show. 4 months ago, I lost one of my dancers. I can't find anybody to replace him, but you're exactly what I'm looking for. What do you say? Like in the movie. It was ridiculous. And that was how it started. Crazy stuff at a party.
Well, you were in L.A., so
Right.
that helps a little bit.
Well, I was here for 2 weeks. I was just vacationing. So we got in town Thursday night, and Saturday night I get scouted, and Monday morning I'm in rehearsal, and life is different from that moment on forever.
Oh, I would think. Yep, that would make things a little bit different. Well, I've seen your current pictures. I haven't seen what you look like then, but I can see how that could have happened.
Thank you.
Interesting. Wow, that's all I can say. So, I couldn't let that one go by. I had to ask that question. Anybody that knows me would have been floored if I hadn't asked that question. So I could ask a million more questions about that, but I'm just going to let that go. So I might ask after we're done. But
that's a whole different show.
That is definitely a whole other show, and I may have you back just to talk about all that.
Fair enough.
But you never know. So, I have free reign to talk about pretty much anything I want to on here, so you never know.
Love it.
Oh, you said you didn't mind fireworks. So.
Oh, bring it! I said, bring it.
Oh, I tell you. Well, and one of your discussion topics that I'm allowed to talk about is the dance of masculine. Mm-hmm. I wonder how you came up with that one.
The dance of masculine and feminine. This takes two.
Yes.
It takes two to tango.
Well, and yes.
It takes a man and a woman.
Definitely.
You can't have two Ginger Rogers or two Fred Astaire. You need one of each. That's nature.
Well, much more compatible if you have one of each. So
that's what I'm saying.
They complement each other.
There you
Correct?
go. Yeah, that's exactly
it. See? Okay, that one we agree on. Because
that one we agree on. So we have one.
That's one out of, what, 30?
I don't know. Let's see.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, I'm keeping score over here. That's one.
Okay.
Let me see. Okay, so why do you feel, and I think pretty much nothing in our culture at this point is conducive to relationships, to healthy, long-lasting relationships. But how do you think most cultural beliefs make loving relationships harder than ever?
Well, in a simple ABC, there's much to it, but if I want to simplify it and get to the point, we are now going completely against nature. In nature, everything is polarized. There's a feminine, the male and female. There's a yin yang to everything in nature. There's a positive, negative magnet to everything in nature. There's a, black and white, up and down, left and right. So there's always the opposite energy that creates that allows for anything to be, but also anything to grow, to flourish, to multiply. Everything's polarized. Nowhere in nature does the masculine act like the feminine or has the same role or the same nothing, nowhere. But as humans in this culture, since the 60s, we decided to neutralize the polarities between men and women in the name of, and I get it, right? It sounds more fair if we give women choices and they go back in the workforce, right, to equalize the playing field. I get it. I totally get that. So on paper, it makes sense. It even sounds right and righteous and better. And it does work for money and business and building careers. Absolutely. But when it comes to love relationship, it's the kiss of death. You cannot neutralize masculine and feminine and think the polarity, the nature itself is neutralized and people fall apart. So that's it in a nutshell. It's anti-nature. And if you go against nature, you could go against nature. Look at what's happening in our culture, but it's a price to pay, and the price to pay is disaster. No relationships, broken families, children who don't have a sense of security because their parents are missing or they're both working, right? So these children become children who are anxious and avoidant relationships. So we destroy family system. We can't raise kids to be able to get in healthy relationships, and then they can't get their own families to build, and this is how you destroy culture. I'm just saying.
Well, and people as they're growing up really are not seeing examples on how to have relationships. I'm not seeing examples on how to date, how to have relationships, none of that sort of thing.
Well, because
you
have single-family homes are rampant, and in that, if little girls who don't have fathers, this creates a ton of problems. Little boys that don't have fathers creates a ton of problems. So, like fathers in the house keep young girls off the pole and the boys out of jail. But, if you consider 80% of black families have single mother families, 80%.
Right.
55 Latinos and 25 whites. It used to be 5% in the 70s. 5% white people, white kids were raised in single-family home. 15% Latinos and 25% blacks. So the numbers have tripled and destroying everything. And we wonder why kids are confused and then they can't create relationship because everything is, there's no role models. You're right. There's no more role models, which is insane. In the name of what? Liberation of women? In the name of what? Like, you go girl? In the name of, I don't take a shit? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I understand all of that to a point, but to make that a world movement, ridiculous. Destroys everything. I'm just saying.
Well, and then you've got some that have a new boyfriend or girlfriend coming in and in front of their kid, know.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's total confusion.
Exactly. You got it. I mean, back in the days, there was less choices, but people got married and they stayed married. Now, for good or bad, to a point, I get that bad dynamic is also damaging. It's still not as damaging as missing parent, period. And back in the days also, part of the paradigm was, when you had children, it wasn't about you anymore. It was about the children. And then creating a stable environment, both financially and emotionally, for them to grow up stable and normal. But nowadays, people have kids and they don't care. Like they don't care. They leave their kids to the sitters or the school system or some daycare and go to work. And they wonder why the kids can't bond with anybody later on in life. There's a lot of data on this, by the way. Like parts happening in our culture with the new generations who are so weak and fragile and triggered is they've never had any. Back in the days in the 50s, father absence because they worked all the time. A lot of kids resented their fathers later on in life because daddy was never home and he never cared. Well, he was working 12-hour days. But mom was in the house. Now we took both of them out of the house. And the kids are supposed to be what, right? So this is the disaster is what I'm saying. Like, this is what's not working. This is how we destroy the culture. Congratulations. Let's all go to work and leave the kids behind. That doesn't work. You can't leave the kids behind. Somebody's got to take care of the kids. It's not a sitter. It's not a nursery. Not a nursery. What's it called? A daycare, or a nanny. That's not it. They need to bond with their family, with their parents. And if they don't,
well, even when some of the parents are home, are they spending any quality time with their kids?
Well, again, it's a different layer of injury, right? But I'm gonna say the injury is much less if actually the parent is present, whether they're fully engaged. But having nobody there physically, like nobody to bond with, like children have to bond somebody to feel safe and secure in the world. If the parents aren't there, they're going to bond with the sitter, or the daycare person. But the daycare people turn over so fast, so the people they bond to, because mom and dad aren't there, disappear. So they become insecure and anxious. By the time they're teenagers, they really they're freaked out, and they go on being snowflakes, and they can't handle anything, and nobody cares. And they're right; they had nobody to bond with, and nobody cared, or they wonder why they have a hard time. Hello. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Are we agreeing on this, by the way? Are you disagreeing with me? I wanted to keep tab. You see it, though? Do you see it? It's not my opinion. It's just what's happening. In the name of freedom. Well, I'm sorry. If you have kids, you gotta. It's not about you anymore. Like anybody with, who wants to raise healthy kids should know better. Not about you anymore.
Let me see. Tell me about feminine energies that flow in nature. Mm-hmm. That sounds fascinating to me.
Doesn't it, though? Well, it's if we dissect, the not the qualities that are masculine and feminine that actually we both have. By the way, most women have more feminine attributes, and most men have more masculine attributes, but they're interchangeable for some people. And you could nurture and grow them back and forth because we're both, in our bodies, are both masculine and feminine. But most male carry more male energy, less female energy, and vice versa. So, but if you talk about femininity and feminine energy, think of Mother Earth, right? Feminine energy is soothing, warm, fertile, creates life, grows everything, right? It's connective, it's of community, excuse me, is of connection and togetherness. Like that's feminine energy. That's not masculine energy. Masculine energy is
right.
Fight, compete, conquer, push, penetrate, right? It's a whole different system. So we could both do both, and my clients are women who are so masculinized they don't have any more access to their feminine essence and wonder why life is difficult or why men don't date them or want them. We call it ego dystonic. They're inside out. Women living like men, feeling like men, acting like men, and vice versa. It doesn't work.
What was that word?
It's ego dystonic. So a feminine woman, a woman living through her masculine energy solely, or more so, is ego dystonic. She's inside out. And men who are sweet, sensitive, soft, feminine are ego dystonic. They can't do anything in life, whether they want to, whether it's conquering anything or build something. They can't. They want to be comfortable and go with the flow, like the feminine.
Interesting. I never heard that word before.
Yeah.
Interesting. I like new words. Okay.
Yes. It's a big deal, though, because you don't see it everywhere. 30% of men nowadays are ego dystonic or live through the feminine first. The women on the other side is much more. Women are raised nowadays to be strong, independent, powerful. You go, girl, don't need no man. Okay. How's that working out?
Well, men are being, and this really bothers me, men are being, what's the right word?
Shamed.
That's it. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Shamed for being masculine, and this whole toxic masculinity thing. I'm not saying there aren't certain people who need to take it down a notch, and there are certain people who are certainly over the top and need to straighten themselves out. But to shame the entire male race is insane. Okay, it just is, because there's a lot of men that have incredibly good qualities.
Most.
And don't. Yeah, it is. Okay. Society seems to have this all or nothing. They have to give all the rights to this group and take them all away from the other group. They can't kind of negotiate. It's got to be you've got to give everything to these people and take it all away from this. This group is horrible and this is wonderful, and you know what I mean.
Oh, of course.
They can't.
That's the agenda now.
They can't kind of portion things out. They can't portion things out.
Yeah, that's the agenda, to separate everyone and create chaos and fear and fighting, right? Black against white, men against women, conservative against liberals, you name it. Everything is in opposition. Religious beliefs, like the Muslim against the Christian, like everything is about pushing people apart in a way that's never been seen in history before. That's actually in place on purpose. Again, all made to have us all fight together as opposed to come together in community. Doesn't mean that I thought it was fantastic. It was talking about like racism everywhere, really, and okay, it's worse now than it was in the '60s, really. Okay, no.
Oh yeah.
Right. So bullshit. So it's not true, right? So they were making it sound like, it's the worst thing that's ever been, like, right? So that whole idea of victimhood and to keep people fighting and separated is exactly what creates the chaos for destruction of everything. I mean, the meme that I saw was like, if you just go in your neighborhood and start meeting people, you'll notice that, racism is really non-existent, right? Like, everybody just wants to get along. Everybody just wants to get along. Everybody wants, the people that are normal, that just want to get along. So they smile at each other and everybody wants to live their lives and be left alone. So, like, that's the reality of it. But if you listen to the news, we're all about destroying each other. No, that is not. That's not what humans do instinctively. Sorry.
Except for a certain number of politicians in the media and social media.
That's what I'm talking about.
Wants to
this is where it starts, right? That's the indoctrination. That's where the youth are falling into, and they don't even know. So it's not an accident.
Yep.
This is what I'm saying. So
but
we get political. All the colleges, right?
Yeah.
So indoctrination of the youth into this belief that everything that is normal and natural is stupid, and everything that's bizarre, weird, and completely not natural is the new normal. Well, look out there. It's working.
Well, and if you tell them that, 30, 40 years ago, it wasn't like this. It just wasn't like this. When I graduated from high school, it just was not this way. I never thought I was going to see this.
Yep. We used to laugh back in the days, about the stupid stuff about, some of the stupidity about the stuff they're teaching now, and people would just roll our eyes going, this is so stupid, nobody's going to buy into this. But with the advent of computers and social media, they got behind the scene hard with the youth, and then now it's become part of the system because they all bought into it because they were indoctrinated into it. Hypnotized, just by the system and by social media and computers and the internet, seemingly innocently. But here we are, different era.
Yeah, and if you read some comments on social media, and especially by some of the millennials, and they'll write something and they'll make like this, and I'm not. It's some. People that have just graduated from high school or first couple of years of college, and it goes with that indoctrination thing, and they make this really passionate comment, and sometimes I'd go in and say, okay, that was a really, really passionate comment you made. Do you really believe what you just said?
Yeah, right.
And they're like, of course I do. And I'm like, wow, and I'm just thinking, That's really frightening.
Yep. Yeah, we never thought this would happen. It's all so ridiculous. Yep.
Yeah. And knowing and having another 30-some years on the person, I'm like, there's just no truth there. There's no fact behind what this person just said whatsoever. Yep. But they're completely committed to this.
Absolutely. They believe it at 100 miles an hour. Yep.
Oh, wow. It's weird. It's scary.
So the people, people who join my side, the women, the men who realize they've been sold this lemon, this bullshit, are looking for answers and find me somehow and they go, apparently, you understand this and what works. Can you help me? So not everybody's asleep, but people who buy into it blindly. Now, the kids will take it longer for them to wake up because it kicks in their 30s. The self-righteousness goes away when life is gone to hell and nothing you want is happening and you're not happy, life isn't satisfied, and you're struggling with everything, relationships mainly, but finance and money and all that stuff. So a lot of people come at me when they realize they've been sold a lemon and it's not working, and they refuse to do what's popular out there culturally, the tidal wave of this equality crap, this go girl bullshit. This man is supposed to be sweet and sensitive to be good men. No, women hate that, right? They can't respect that. They can't respect that. So all this shit that sounds good on paper doesn't work. It doesn't work, and some people are waking up to it and reach out and get some help. The other ones just stand on their soapbox going, you're stereotypes are dangerous and stupid. I'm like, well, no, stereotypes exist because they exist. There's just nature is like this. The masculine and feminine is different, and they function differently, which means they have attributes and stereotypes. There's stereotypical ways to behave one way or the other, with a certain amount of flex. But to deny everything because you don't like it is ridiculous, right? Again, back to nature, and see what that takes you, and see what the price that you're going to pay for this ridiculousness. I mean, that's all I can say. Like, you're going to pay. It's going to hurt somewhere, and then you go, wow, I didn't know. Okay.
Well,
so,
and
okay.
you think they're angry now. Wait till they figure out what a bill of goods they've been sold.
Thank you. Right? No, seriously, and it's coming, right? It's coming because you see it happen right now. There's a lot of people waking up slowly, and it's going to kick. There's going to be a kickback that's going to be quite. I sense it's going to be quite violent, and it's okay because it has to stop. This has to stop. I'm trying to do mine gently by waking people this way. It's not working. Yeah. Wake the hell up. Be careful what you buy into, what you believe is better, right? Walk yourself through it. Like, think it all the way through. Because the idea that being a wife is slavery and being a mother is the kiss of death, and you're better than that. And really? Okay, all right. So let's talk about it later. You go. Like, seriously, it's insane. Again,
wow.
Against nature.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Welcome to my world.
I don't know, man. It's wow.
Just what it is. It's just wrong, and that's it. The thing is, eventually that's going to stop, and that's part of what I'm up to. Like, so if we then realize that none of this is true, none of this is working, nothing is right. Another thing about this is natural, and the price to pay is destruction of the family system and culture, society. Then people are going to turn to so what is the truth? How does that all work then? And I like to think that I'll be standing here with a smile on my face, going, "Come over here."
It's interesting, because one of the main things when I was at the very, very end of my love coaching training was not to be judgmental of the client, no matter what they say, not to be judgmental.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, okay, and actually that was a huge moment for me because I finally got it through my head to stop judging myself, which I needed to hear that. I need to be head over the head with that, actually. Yep. Nice. But I know that it's interesting because you hear people come to you, and you're working with them, and some of the thoughts they have about how relationships should work and how they should treat each other, and especially when, like, the husband says, well, he's talking to his wife, he says, well, you know that you're allowed to do blah 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 blah, and she's like, I know, and I'm like, allowed, and and just various things that how they react, they interact with each other, and they treat each other, and this kind of thing. And you're sitting here going, "Don't judge, don't judge, don't judge."
Right. And the other way around, right?
The number of times I'm sitting here covering my mouth, and I'm like, and I'm dying to say something. I'm like, no.
And it goes both ways, right? Women do the same thing on the other side too, right? That a client who's telling. Like, in front of me, right, that she lets her husband ride a motorcycle. And I'm like, let your what? Is he a child? Right? Yeah. Like, he doesn't need your permission to ride a bike if he wants to. He can negotiate that with you that you're afraid you don't like it, but you don't get to let him. What the hell are you thinking, right? Like, it's like, I can't believe you let your husband ride a motorcycle. What?
Well, and the women that won't allow their husbands to masturbate in the shower. It's like,
whatever. Like, what are you saying?
It's his body.
If you're actually going all the way there to control him, like, Houston will have a problem really quickly, because now he's gonna start doing shit behind your back because he can't be himself. And women don't understand that often. They don't understand that. You're supposed to. Really, says who? You're not his mother. You can talk about it. You can negotiate this stuff. You don't get to direct him, correct him, manage him, guide him, tell him what to do. You can't do any of that. It's ridiculous. And this is what a lot of our culture, where we're the masculine to do this to men step off. And she's like, he's a jerk. Like, well, no, you're his mother, and nobody wants a mother. We've had mothers. We've walked with our mothers. We want wives and partners that are supporting of us, not trying to fix us or fix you or change you because he's not this or that. disrespectful as all hell, and men go, fine, see ya. And then women blame him because he didn't want to, he wasn't, well, that's all you, right? Like, that's all, you can't do this. It's the ultimate disrespect. Imagine any man trying to change a woman. You need to stop talking so much. You need to get to the point where you're talking to me. You need to clean the house better because, you're doing a good job. I know you have 2 jobs, but that's like, he would get murdered. But women have no problems talking shit and try to correct men and tell them to act differently because somehow they know better, knowing nothing about what motivates men and what we do. And men will kind of not fight back. Often men don't fight back until they just leave.
Well, and TV needs to really stop showing that. I mean,
well, that's all part of it. That's all part of it.
What sitcom doesn't show a woman talking down to and making fun of her husband?
Yeah, right. She's super smart. She knows better, and he's a dumbass. Yep. Every show is out there. Every sitcom. Absolutely.
Pretty much.
Absolutely. Fantastic,
okay.
Huh?
This is something I think women need to know. So I wanna see what your answer to this is.
Yes.
What makes a man commit to his one and only?
Well, there's a question. That's $1,000 question. So I just had this question. I just did a podcast just before this one, and that question came up as well. Co-host was a man and a woman. It was interesting to see both their response to this. But back to nature. Men and women are different, completely different in every way possible. Different again. So this idea of equality is where it's causing a lot of trouble. I say it like this: we're as equal as our genitals. There it is. Like completely opposite, but made to fit together, right? Complementary.
Yes.
So everything about men and women is that. Like what she likes, what motivates her, what she finds exciting, does not work on him, and vice versa, right? Like we're 2 different operating systems and machines, that are made to work together, but not at all the same. So when women try to want men to act like women, it goes to hell. Men typically don't want women to act like men, right? They're just like, because that would make them gay, right? Like so men don't want women to act like men. It's irritating and off-putting. At the same time, men have a much more looseness about letting women be women. We understand that you're quirky, we understand you're emotional, but it's not a deal breaker. But women just get irritated with men when they're uncomfortable, it hurts their feelings, and trying to change them. So my point is, we're so different, and there's no changing anybody. The idea is, how do you negotiate your wants and needs? They're so different to meet somewhere in the middle. It's called a relationship. It's not her being right. It's not him being right. It's not her doing her way or demanding her way or him. It's together, how do we work this out? I like this. I don't like this. I'm willing to do this. This I don't want to do. And vice versa, right? There's a lot of negotiating in between. But ultimately, the system, nature requires males to be more male acting and females to be more female acting for this whole system to have a structure that is natural, that works. So it's not the 50s we're talking about. There's a modern way to do relationship that is still more traditional. Men feel good when they feel masculine because they handle their lives, they build something difficult, they discipline themselves to get there. There's a lot of honor and pride in men fighting to build something in the world so they can respect themselves and be respected by both men and women out there. That's the masculine, ultimately. And what the masculine needs to commit is a woman who gets him, not trying to change him, who supports his effort in whatever he's creating in the world, as opposed to compete with him or fight with him or try to keep him from doing so. Right? It's the feminine inspiration. So you've heard the say, we all heard that say, that behind every great man is a fantastic woman. That's what men need to commit. A woman who's got his back, a woman who supports his effort, who gets what he's up to, something big in the world, whether it's business, money, legacy, or a family. You got to get in sync with him to make that work, and he will kill himself for you. He will give you the world. He will kill himself to keep you that woman who supports him. It'll keep you comfortable and happy and literally will do anything in the world to keep your woman in a space where she can support him in the way that he needs to support her, as he supports her the way she needs to be supported. That's how men commit. Not go girl, badass, compete with him, and try to change him. That's the exact opposite. But that's what we do now. Nobody gets it. Not working. How you like it?
Okay.
You see it? Again, not my opinion.
All right.
Not my opinion. This is the work. This is the research.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I don't. Yeah, competing with him. That's definitely not necessary.
Yeah.
And that doesn't work.
Mm-hmm. But what's the but?
Okay.
There's a but here for you. What's the but? Ask me. I can hear it.
Yeah, I'm pretty much on board with that. Pretty much.
I mean, it's like, again, back to where, so that doesn't mean that she stays barefoot and pregnant, right? That's not what I said. That's the modern way to do this. But there's still a more traditional A-B for this to work well and long term. That's all I'm saying. Everything's negotiable in between that, but there's still a system that works better this way. When I have clients where the woman's masculine and the man's feminine, and again the polarity is in place, and it works for about 10 years, and it falls apart because she loses respect for him completely, and she's tired. So once she wants him to step up that he never had, right? Lost respect for him, and he doesn't want to step up because she always did. He was the feminine, was the easygoing, the one that with the flow. So these still work like energetically for a while, but they don't go for 25, 35 years. So back to nature, back to what works best. A man acting more like a man with all the in-betweens that need that for his comfort and vice versa. Nature. I'm just saying. So the people who succeed do that. By the way, even in gay couples, the ones succeed for many, I know two couples that have been together, gay couples have been together 30 years. And one's masculine more, the one's feminine more. Even though they have the same gender, one's a boy, one's a girl. One supports the system, the other one runs the system more. That's just, and by the way, this is the way it applies to every successful enterprise. I have two friends here in Los Angeles who own a coaching business, right? And they've started the business together, two guys, so they're not gay, they're not partners, they're just business partners, but they're doing really great. So let me explain the same concept, right? One guy is extroverted. He's on stage. He likes to be on stage. He loves the mic. He opens all the doors. He talks to everybody. He's the extroverted, pushing the business, selling the business, all over the place. That's who he is. He loves it. That's his essence, right? And it's fantastic because that's what he does. The partner doesn't want any of that. The partner is the guy behind the scene creating the workshops, creating the content, right? Doing the IP, intellectual property that they're building. Doesn't want to get on stage, doesn't want to get the mic, freaks him out just to think about it, doesn't want to talk to anybody, right? So they're two completely different pieces, yin-yang, black-white, masculine and feminine, but together, that's how they build a business because they both have a piece that is essential for success, just like relationships. So whether you're straight or gay, there needs to be two pieces and all the small negotiations between for your comfort, but this is how nature works. So you want to go against that? Okay, you call me in 10 years.
Yeah, no, I see it as a partnership and supporting one another.
That's it.
Not a competition, a partnership. So yeah. Okay.
But I mean, nowadays, I'm going to say this, right? So as women were liberated, right, in the 60s and out of the kitchen and off the apron, cut off the apron strings and step in the world of men and competing. Fine. Choices, sure, fantastic. I don't care. Great. But now what's happened is nothing's changed for men. And I just talked about this, right? Men are still expected to provide, protect, cherish, and give to women. Men are still expected to go out there and make something of themselves. That's the only way to get respect by men and women, right? Men's role has never changed. Ever changed. It's still the same. So women still expect men to be traditional, provide, protect, cherish, give, right? Pay for everything. But nowadays in our culture, women refuse. They refuse, I want to say it again, they refuse to be traditional women. And they wonder why men go, forget this crap, and they blame men for it. Men don't want to commit. No, they don't want to commit to you. You refuse to be the supportive energy that he needs to commit. You refuse to be traditional men, want traditional women to build traditional lives in a modern twist. Women refuse to be traditional. I'm better than that. I'm more than just a wife. Okay, so you're not getting married. I'm not just a baby maker. Okay, you don't get to build a family. Talk to me when you're 60 with your 4 cats. You know what I mean? Like, that's what happens. It doesn't work. It's not okay. It's not okay. But in our culture, we decide that that's the way to go.
Yeah, but that's not true about everybody.
What's that? Nothing is true about anybody. Nothing is true about anybody. This is the big highlight. This is what happens. This is what I see every day. It's not true for anybody. Some people are broken, should never be with anybody. That's different. I'm talking about...
Well, there are, that is true.
That's a whole different thing. But most people, men and women, to this day, still much data on this. Both men and women are happier, live longer, make more money, are more creative, live longer when they're in long, healthy, loving relationships. Period. Both men and women, not just women. So when you make that impossible with this ridiculous beliefs that are out there, everybody suffers. And then you end up with people living alone, unhappy, miserable. You see it everywhere. And not understanding what happened to their lives because they didn't question. Or they just follow the flow. Or go girl. Your mother said, go girl, don't depend on no man like me. He left me. Well, that's a broken woman. Don't listen to broken people. Listen to people who, succeeded in that. There's a lot of people who know exactly how to do this. Some naturally. The rest of us have to learn, but there's a way to make this work. Again, if you step into a natural A-B of building something as a team. It's not that hard, by the way. It's totally not that hard, but everything the culture is teaching you is making that impossible.
And there's a lot of different things that women were taught by their mothers that are wrong. Though that's not. There's a lot of very destructive things.
Yeah, it's your mothers, your cultures, your teachers, your universities, it's your friends. I have my assistant. One of my assistants is 27 years old. She wants 3 kids and a husband. She can't say that out loud in school. They attack her. Girl, we got to talk. You're crazy. You're better than being a slave and being some kind of baby-making machine. And she's like, can you guys just drop dead and leave me the fuck alone? Excuse my French. You can cut that out if you need to, but it makes me angry because she knows who she is. She knows what she wants, but she's somehow not allowed to even talk that way or think that way. She's a traitor to the sisterhood, and you don't need no man. Well, you guys just drop dead, right? Like, just shut up. Stupid, right?
It depends on the area she's in, too.
What's that?
Around here, that's not a problem. It depends on the area she's in. Around here, that's not a problem.
This is university grounds. This is everywhere like this. The teachers are just putting that out. I mean, you should see the material that I came across that they teach. It's insane. And no wonder the kids are all messed up because this is pumped into them in school, especially as young adults. So it's madness, and it's destroying everything, and you see it, and I see it. But, the ones that are, this last generation is really screwed because they get it, like they were raised with, a phone in their hands and all that influence that comes with that. They're done. I think it's almost hopeless. It's not true because it's still a family system that managed to stabilize them and raise them properly. But as a rule, they're raised by their phones and their computers. And look what that creates.
Well, they're being raised by the internet.
That's
whatever they happen to learn on the internet,
Yeah, in their bedrooms at night. Think about it 1 second.
That could be anything. So.
That's insane. That is insane. My kids are not allowed to have computers and even phones in their rooms. Your bedroom is to sleep in. Computers in the middle of the living room, so we can see what you say. You could research whatever you want, but you're not hiding behind a screen. And their phones were not internet accessible. They could call me if they're in trouble, but they're not getting online on their phones, to watch whatever the hell. And my kids are very, very quiet. I'm very proud of how stable and normal they are. They don't buy into any of that crap, and they're almost like they're so traditional in who they are and what they think because they escaped all that shit. very happy about that. That was a lot of my doing as well, or my focus in making sure that their eyes are open. Let's put it this way. Good stuff.
Okay, vulnerability. Why is that the secret?
Because nothing happens between men and women, especially, but with human beings without vulnerability. Vulnerability is sharing your fears, sharing your discomfort, sharing something that you're embarrassed about. There's again much data on this, when you get vulnerable with somebody, to receive for you to share your fears or vulnerabilities or something you're uncomfortable with, to be able to talk to somebody about this, as a person receiving that, it feels very, very flattering that you feel discomfortable with them and that you trust them with sensitive stuff that is going on with you. And as a rule, when you're vulnerable with somebody, they are vulnerable back, and this is how people bond together. Friendships do the same thing, right? So vulnerability is the hook for people to emotionally get attached and build deep connections. In the realm of men and women, men tend to be naturally stoic. We're not vulnerable. We put up this stoic front, but it's not a front as much as a caveman approach to, I'm a hunter and a warrior. I'm not going to show you my vulnerabilities. You're going to use them against me. Somebody may. So we're stoic. We don't talk and reveal our weaknesses. It's dangerous for our survival innately. So in my world, women in relationship are the ones that have to open the channels to vulnerability for the men to be able to connect with them emotionally. So yes, vulnerability is essential for anything profound, intimacy and connection between two human beings. And women typically have to start it with men, because instinct has men going, not doing it. But if you open up, I'll meet you in the middle. And this is how you get to know your man and build something with the men. So that's my answer to that. So again, very, very natural.
Now, I had a friend, and she wouldn't listen to me when I told her to stop this. But she wanted guys to open up and be vulnerable with her. So she prematurely would open up and share way too much with them way too early. Mm-hmm. And then they would turn around, and she did this way sooner than she should have. Yep. And they turned around and used what she said on her and hurt her. Yep. So how can people know when they should open up and be vulnerable with
Very good question. Very, very good question. So men who do this are not men, by the way, right? In my world, there's three types of men. There are men, there are guys, and there are boys. Men are men, men are big, men are solid, men are accountable, men do things right, men have value systems, men are unshakable, men are amazing. Guys are somewhere in the middle. Boys are the feminine ones. Those are the ones who are toxic. Those are the ones who lie, cheat, scam, manipulate, right? Those are the toxic ones.
Yes.
So if you as a woman are vulnerable to a man and he turns it against you, that is a boy. That's a bitch with a penis. So I say know your audience. Some ladies cannot be vulnerable with their mothers because mothers will turn it on her. Don't. You know who not to do this with, right? So as a rule, know your audience. So there's people around you, friends, family members, others, that, you can build friendship with, and people that are normal, not narcissistic, which is what boys are primary as well. Narcissists will turn that on you. Narcissist women will turn that on men. They ask men to be vulnerable. The guy opens up, and a narcissist woman will turn it on him, use it against him, and he says, never again. And then the rest of the women, for the rest of his life, don't get any of that. So it's a narcissist that destroyed that. So again, I go, know your audience, and, start gently if you're not sure. Share something delicate, but not huge, you know what I mean? But you'll see the reaction. Right. People typically will just meet you right there. Oh, my God, I feel so bad. You know what? That's happened to me, too. Boom, there's a connection. As opposed to, what the hell's wrong with you? Really? That's so stupid. Wrong audience. No, wrong audience, right? But typically, when you build friendships, connection with people, you can tell. You can tell the ones who would be judgmental. You can tell the ones who, you shouldn't open up to. If you're going to do this with a guy you don't know, ridiculous, dangerous. Just saying.
True.
You like it?
That works.
You see it, right? You see it, right? You see it. It's rather.
Well, and her thing was, well, but he was willing to sleep with me. Obviously, I could trust him.
No.
No.
No. How does one have to do the other? I have to say this to women. I have to say this to women, and it's they just sometimes their jaw falls to the floor. They go, do you understand that men don't even have to like you to sleep with you?
Thank you. Thank you.
Unthinkable for women sometimes, but they go, what do you mean? I go, they don't have to like you. Sometimes they'll actually, bed you just because they hate you, just to tear into you, just to go, here, take that. Like it's not making love, right? It's not. So, but for women, typically normal women, they can't even conceive of that. So, like sex and love, sex and emotion for men, two different things.
That's just not tied together most of the time with certain people.
And what I say to women, don't have sex with men if you don't know them, if you don't know their intentions for you, because you're going to get attached and you're just having fun. And having sex does not make men commit. It never has. It never will. Having sex makes you the fun girl that he just ran through, and he won't respect ever. He will not commit. He will not meet his mother, but he'll come around to run through you as much as he can until you go, where's this going? And he's like, you're funny, and goes find somebody else to run through.
It's bad.
Seriously, that's exactly what happens every time. Just check it for yourself. And that's, this is how it goes. Women think intimacy, having sex, starts a relationship with men, and it never does. It actually is the exact opposite. For most men, it kills it. If I could stick it to you without having to do much but buy you lunch or like 2-3 dinners, who else has been in here? I can't trust you.
Yeah.
Right? You're just something to play with. And even if he liked you maybe in the beginning, now he don't. You're not somebody that he could build with. You're not safe. You're one of those. Again, it's not even a thought process. It's an instinctual reaction. It's instinctual reaction. When men don't trust women that have been run through, or if you take it back to the cave eras when we cavemen and cave women, men provided shelters, men were the hunters, the women were the gatherers, and the women, in order to have sex and make babies, had to. Back in those days, pregnancy was a kiss of death. A lot women died in childbirth all the time. So, and then even being pregnant was a liability. You can't move, you waddle. If you don't have somebody to protect you, you're bare food. Women knew this, right? So sex was always very, very dangerous through millennia for women. You still have that in your bodies, genetically, on a DNA as men. But see, back in those days, the young girl who would, jump from TP to TP in the tribe for a chicken leg one night, and this other guy with chicken one night, who got run through, was never respected, was never protected, and typically pushed out of the tribe by the other women because she was a liability to their man, and she didn't survive. She was tiger food. So today it's the same thing, except nobody's pushing you to the tiger, but you're not getting married. You're just one of them. Men instinctively know not to trust you. Whose baby is it? Right? Because back in those days there was no DNA test, right? Caveman, so the woman has to be virtuous. The woman has to be virtuous to trust that the baby that she has is his. She can't be jumping from TP to TP. So women who did not have sex casually waited for a guy to provide and protect them, hunt for them. He would show her that he's a good provider. He would show her that his TP is bigger than the guy next door, so she'd be more comfortable. He would show her he wants to protect her. His idea was always to make her feel safe, that she would be allowed to give him, a child, which is legacy for a man, right? So today it's different ways. Sometimes business and money could be legacy for men, but back in those days, legacy was his offsprings. So in order for her to have his offspring, he had to keep her safe and healthy and fed, and look what I could do for you. I could provide and protect for you, right? It's the same thing today. It hasn't changed. This is how we're built. So, and then she would then open up to be able to have sex with him, so he'd be there to provide and protect her. right? Where she's waddling, and then after birth, to be able to provide for the kid, right? She's hunting and she's nurturing. Nature. So that there's the same girl who's going from TP to TP is not getting enough treatment. She gets run through and pushed out and dies. Now today they don't die, but they don't go anywhere. They get run through and left behind. So that's not working. Sex instinctively has men repulsed if they want to build something. If they want to play with you, they'll tell everybody they got lucky. You're still not Miniga's mother.
One thing I've told people when they're making up their list of what they're looking for in a person, is also, when they're, looking, saying, what are they looking for in a partner, when they're dating and that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Also make a list of what they offer a partner.
Thank you.
And don't, what do you bring to the table?
Thank you.
Don't just say, what do they offer and what do I want them to have, but what do I offer? What do I have? What's my value in the relationship? Because people don't, they're always saying, okay, what's the other person's value? What do they have? And that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But you know what? Don't forget you have value.
Well,
it's too many people forget that they have value.
Well,
the person that knows that they have value isn't out there sleeping with a different person every couple days.
Thank you. So values, boundaries, values, virtue, all the things that men need in order to commit. Back to what we talked about earlier. Back to what we talked about earlier. Like what the woman brings is support in the way that he needs to continue on his mission, on his passion, on his business, whatever. Support him in that, believe in him, and as she gives him the jet fuel to do even more. Behind every great man is a fantastic woman who helps him do stuff that he couldn't imagine he could do because of her. And then in return, he provides, protects, gives her, keeps her as comfortable as he can, naturally, instinct. Not sex.
Well, tell you what, you want to tell the listeners where they can find more stuff about you?
Yeah, actually. So I also have a gift for the listeners if you want. You want?
Oh, always.
Yeah. So, I do quite a bit of podcasts because, again, my mission is to kind of teach this stuff to the nation and eventually worldwide. So when people listen to podcasts, it's typically two different types of listeners. There are people who just are looking for information, which is fine. And there are people who are looking for help. You know what I mean? They're looking for help. They're looking for, so if this is my offer in twofold. So people, if you're looking for information, if you email me at andrecoaching1@gmail, that's my direct email, and say in the text, in the topic, in the header of the email, just write Irresistible Book. I will send you for free my book called 5 Feminine Qualities High Value Men Find Absolutely Irresistible. People pay for it. I'm going to give it to you listeners for free. Just again, andrecoaching1@gmail.com, Irresistible Book in the title, and I'll send you a book for free. So you'll get some information, and you'll understand more what I'm up to, what I do, and how these things work, especially when it comes to men and what they want. If people want more like take action type personality, they want to move, same email, but in the topic, write talk now. It'll signal me that you want to talk to me, and what I'll do is I'll send them a link to my calendar where they can book a call, one-on-one call, a Zoom call with me, where we'll have a conversation about where they're stuck, what's not working, right, what the challenge is in their lives, and within an hour, basically figure out, I'm really good at this, like all of us in childhood, we don't come out of childhood unscathed. Between the age of 5 and 11, in the formative years, we all get beat up by life. Abandonment issues, abuse issues, neglect issues, right? All of us, different levels. And what happens is we end up believing things about the world, ourselves, people, and life from that perspective that we completely forgot because we're little. But this is how we live our lives, right? Through those lenses that are from back then. So people that find themselves attracting the same type of person, not able to finish, to do relationship, not able to make money, whatever it is that you looped on, it's your subconscious, it's your past, it's you. It's not men are all, no, it's you. Women are all, no, it's you. So in that call, within 15 minutes, we actually go right to the source of where the wheels came off for you, where you became with these beliefs that is keeping your life from being successful, whichever way you're looking at it, especially in the realm of relationships. And then we talk about, so you know, and the beauty of that call is that you get to figure out or understand for yourself that there's nothing wrong with you. You're just a product of your past. So there's nothing broken. There's nothing wrong with you. This was happened to you. This is why. Oh, so that is a liberating, you know, it's a liberating place to get to. And now from that place, if you understand it's not your fault and you're not broken, you've just been beat up by your past. What is the dream? What is the life? Like, what? How do you want to finish this life? What is the dream? Whatever that looks like, and then I'll share what I do, and if there's anything that you want to jump in, there's 5 different ways to work with me. And then you decide if you want to, you know, jump in and participate or not. So, again, Andre Coaching 1, talk now, and I'll send you a calendar link, and we'll talk. How you like that?
Sounds good. Sounds good. All right. Well, there will be a replay of the show on my website. And if you go to www.lovecoachjourney.com/Project Equinox, I will have it there.
Thank you.
All right. Sounds good. Well, thank you very much for being here today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. We didn't disagree that much. Actually, not at all, apparently.
Yeah, well, no. We're pretty much in agreement. Pretty much.
Yeah, thank you. It means a lot.
Oh, gracious. Well, I might have to have you back. You never know. Never know.
Love to.
There were some things that we could expand on.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
We will see.
Yes.
We will see. All right, listeners. I hope you have a good Valentine's week, and I will be with you next time on Ready for Love Radio.